So good morning, Warhawks. This is Colonel Wilson sitting here with our Command Chief, Chief Blazier, coming to you for our first time, unedited, unscripted. I'm going to call it Freeform Fridays and also Fun Fridays. So our intent here is just to talk to you, just as we would try and talk to you in a normal conversational tone and tell you what's going on in the wing. We're going to not only talk about kind of current events and state of the wing, but we're also going to have a little bit of fun.
Let's get it, sir. Yeah. Can't wait.
So we will. So first we'll start out with talking a little bit about this week. If you don't have a chance to read the Hawk Talk, I ask that you try and take a look if you can from time to time. It'll be a bi-weekly. I'll send it out twice a week. And what I'm really going to try and do is emphasize some of the things that I think will impact our airmen, our trainees, our IMSs as well that are out there. So this week what's going on, or what happened, was we had General John DeGoes, the 59th Medical Wing Commander, who came in and took a good look at our BMT operation. We, under the auspices of COVID, have had some concerns about kind of wear and tear on our MTI population. And so he took a look to see if, hey, we're balancing safety and health with operations, because right now operationally it's a really fast battle rhythm, very busy. And so we're trying to come up with some creative ways to do that. Chief, you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. So I just think first and foremost, we just want everybody to know that we've recognized, this is, my wife even talked about it the other day, sir. We remember January, February, COVID, right? So it has been just this constant battle to continue to fight to keep the lines open, and we're extremely proud of the team. But we want you all to know that we recognize that comes at a toll, and that comes at, there's some significant stressors. So the whole goal and all that, sir, was to really examine are there better ways that we can reduce that stress while you all continue to produce what your Air Force needs.
Yeah, and so we recognize that has been, I've hit the ground running as fast as I can. You guys are running a lot faster than I am, but I've hit the ground running as fast as I can with this first month. And that has been the thing that's been foremost on our thought process, is not only how fast are people moving and how hard are people working, but also the things we're not able to do. So I can tell you our first priority is to try and get back into a very normal, deliberate, and thoughtful battle rhythm. And what that means is try and get back as best we can to what normal looks like. So COVID does get a vote. The enemy always gets a vote. But it can't win. It won't win. We will win, absolutely. And so we're going to continue to move forward and get you all back to as normal of a state of operations as we can. And so that is our focus. So next we had our boss, General Andrew Tolis, who came in from 2nd Air Force, the 2nd Air Force Commander. We had a great visit with General Tolis this week to talk about a number of things. First and foremost, we visited the PRC, the Finkston Reception Center, and we talked a little bit about the vision of that and that facility and what that's going to look like going forward. And so we're really excited about that. Right now, it's a little bit of a shell. The operations that need to happen in that building are happening, but the vision and what that can become is really amazing, and we've really got a good thought process. If you think of parents and you think of families and you think of loved ones coming in from around the country and around the world to see their graduates go through the BMT graduation process, that facility should be representative of excitement and fun. And when you think of it, you should think of, for those that like, Chris Fowler and Lee Corso on College Game Day, it should be that type of environment and generate that type of excitement. Chief, you have any thoughts on that?
It is. It's the PRC, the Finkston Reception Center. It is truly not just a reception for our families, but if you think about it, when we bring recruits from the airport in that bus, and those that's the first introduction. That's the gate to the gateway. And I think everybody has a kind of special memory when they take that first step off that bus. But yes, sir, I think we're really having a chance right now in these times to kind of rethink how can we amplify it even more. In our Air Force, we do make that celebration where families, where they join that long blue line. And I'm really, really excited for what the team's going to come up with, sir.
Yeah, we've got some great ideas, but I say really it's you all. You have the great ideas out there, and we're looking forward to seeing those and then putting those into action. The next thing we did with General Tillis was we visited the DLI, ELC, and the IAFA campus. It was great. We had some really wonderful conversations about that. Now, those missions have really been drawn back in one way in the in-person piece of those classes that we have with our international military students that come in has been contracted. But then at the same point, they've really grown in terms of their virtual learning platforms and their distance learning platforms quite a bit. So just as I mentioned previously, our vision here is to try and get back to a normal, regular state of operations. And so with that in mind, we're starting to pull students back to the campus in a very safe and deliberate way. and we're starting to look at what it will take now under this new normal to be able to do that. And so I really want to commend our IF and our DLI teams for their vision. And it comes with resourcing, it comes with infrastructure, it comes with manpower. There's all those pieces, and we have good, sound visions for both of those programs. So, Chief, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, just hats off to the teams. What I love, sir, is how our airmen will not let anything. We talk about the enemy being COVID, but they won't let the mission stop. And so the team really looked at how do we continue to deliver on those forefronts, because we know it's crucial. For the international partners we have with, right? There's still that need. They want to know what Americana is about. They want to know how airmen train. And I love is, we've really transformed the way we learn and modernizing the things that are out there to be able to deliver that. And I know it's going to make us even better. I think we're going to have a hybrid approach of both in residence and then access to information so they can continue those partnerships even after they leave here, sir.
Yeah, COVID has been absolutely a change agent. But you always frame challenges as opportunities, and if you look at this, the opportunities that we've had to change and shift our operations and our way of thinking across our entire portfolio has been amazing. So hats off to them. And then finally, the thing that we talked about was PT, and I want to take a couple minutes to talk about PT specifically. Strategically, the Air Force has given Air Education Training Command executive agency over their own PT programs. Now, what does that mean? It means that the PT standards for our trainees that go through the pipeline can be whatever AETC thinks they should look like. Now, while we know that those airmen that are going out into the population, into the first installation, their first duty stations, their first assignments, they're going to have to comply with the Air Force PT standards. But that doesn't always make sense here in a training environment. And so we have been, as a command, given that opportunity to kind of shape that. So along those lines, hats off to the 323rd Training Squadron who conducted beta test, kind of rotating from a 2-day rotational cycle where they did cardio with running to the strength training. And what we found was there was a lot of risk there with COVID, but we also found there was a lot of injuries that we thought we might be able to avoid. So they went through the process of beta testing a circuit interval training. And so after the beta test, we found, generally speaking, that PT scores are at least as good, if not better, in all areas, and that also that injuries are down. We're finding certain types of injuries, those wear and tear injuries or those major structural injuries that take people out of the fight for a while or out of training for a while, those have gone down too. So, Chief, I know you're passionate about PT, and you have some thoughts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love me some fitness. And I think even for myself personally as an airman, there are a lot of times where I would amplify my fitness closer to a test. And we're really trying to change the culture from being fit to test to fit to fight at any time. I mean, that's what readiness is all about. And I've had a chance to actually go work out and test out some of these workouts. And I really think it's something that even whether you're in COVID, whether you're TDY, whether you're downrange, you don't necessarily have to have a gym to be able to continue to be able to execute fitness, right? And when we think about fitness, it's so much more than just running around a track and doing some push-ups and sit-ups. We're talking about holistically, right? We're talking about diet. We're talking about nutrition. And what we're trying to do is especially in the early years of an airman, is really get them indoctrinated into a culture and a lifestyle that they can stay healthy for the long term. So I'm extremely excited for what's to come on that, how we'll not only just transform how we train airmen from a fitness mindset and BMT, but across the entire training portfolio, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all about loving it. And when you learn to love it, it becomes part of your life. And when it becomes part of your life, that's how you really win. All right, so what does that mean for us? So here's the kicker. So that beta test is now going to be going into full implementation across BMT in a very phased and deliberate approach. The TRG Commander Colonel Newsom has an approach to do that, and so right now the 323rd has implemented it. 324th is in the process of implementing it, and I think what you'll see is each week of training, each squadron will implement it in cycle, and so we are going to implement it across the BMT. Now, where does it apply to the rest of us? Tech training, the 37 training group. We're going to be taking a long, hard look at how we do physical training across all of our tech training schools, the 24 AFSCs that we have out there. And we're going to be looking at what that circuit interval training looks like for them. And then big picture, the Air Force, at least 2nd Air Force, and then the entire Air Education Training Command, this may be something that catches fire, and we think that it possibly will, and could go across the rest of the numbered Air Force, the rest of tech training, and then the rest of Air Education Training Command. So we're excited about the opportunities of it, but we're most excited about what we're going to see here in the short term. So the great thing about this program is, like the Chief said, you can do it anywhere, and you can do it at your own pace, and you can build up to wherever you want and truly avoid injuries and build up to that to that fitness level that you're looking for. So that was the Freeform Friday. That was the freeform part. This is all kind of freeform because we're just going. Now to the fun, right? So fun. Well, I'm going to talk about a little bit about my commander's guidance video that I put out. And I told you I'd be talking about that in a different venue. So that was about an hour long, and I know not everybody had the opportunity to look at it. So what I'm going to do is just bit by bit each week talk a little bit. And today I want to talk about intrinsic motivation and the power of the individual. It's very easy to get caught up in the institution and go, hey, I'm just one person. What can I do? What changes can I make? You can have huge impacts as one single individual on your team and in our enterprise as a whole, in our whole organization. And so when I think about those changes and that intrinsic internal motivation to succeed, I kind of put them in the frames of like movies and books, and I think that's fun for me, right? And so I'm going to recommend a book for y'all. I'm going to recommend kind of a serious movie, and I'm going to recommend kind of a fun movie here to talk about the power of an individual. The first thing is the book, Rough Riders, the story of Theodore Roosevelt and the legendary Rough Riders Regiment that's charged up San Juan Hill. The author is Mark Lee Gardner. Anybody that wants to read it can go out on the web and find a copy. But really, it was the power of leadership and the power of inspiration and power of that individual, Theodore Roosevelt, who almost, I say single-handedly, of course it wasn't single-handedly, but what he did was single-handedly motivate that regiment, the Rough Riders, who was a collection, a band of cowboys from all over our country at that point in time. And they went to Cuba, and they took San Juan Hill, and they almost single-handedly ended that battle. And it was all based on the inspiration, the motivation of Teddy Roosevelt as a leader and as a warrior. And so something Chief pointed out to me, we were talking about this just a little bit beforehand, is that the Rough Riders first came together from all over the country. Here in San Antonio, I think, Chief, you said at the Mango Hotel?
Mango Hotel, downtown San Antonio, yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's the power of the individual from a book perspective. From a movie perspective, I'll recommend Dances with Wolves and the story of John Dunbar and his relationship with the Sioux Indian. And he was all on his own out in the outpost in Fort Hays, and the relationships he built as a single person with an entire nation of Native Americans is really a powerful story, especially under the auspices of diversity and inclusion, and getting to know somebody and understand where somebody comes from at the time, as they call it in the movie, the white man and Native Americans, and getting to understand and know each other. The power that he had was incredible. And I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Chief, but it's one of my favorites.
It is really, really good, sir. And I think particularly, sir, it's such a timely example of what we all need to continue to lean in right now, sir. And to understand that all we're talking about with race relations, with things that are going on across the nation, I know it's painful for us to see, but I think it's important to recognize that our own experience isn't necessarily someone else's.
That's right.
Right? And did not judge whether that is real or accurate based on our own. And I've really been proud of at every level of the formation, sir, how people are just opening up and just learning what life might be like for someone else who isn't like you.
Right.
And that's how we're going to move closer together as a team, sir. Yeah, certainly timely.
That's right. And so on that front, I wanted to also formalize our Diversity and Inclusion Council. Senior Master Sergeant Wong has headed that up. And so we've talked about what the right format to do, whether it would look at whether our D&I council would be a private org or whether it would be something that would be appointed by the commander. And we would look at using government resources to pursue. And so we've decided that we're going to appoint Senior Master Sergeant Wong as our D&I committee lead for our council here within the 37 Training Wing. So she's doing a great job with that program. We're super excited to have her out there bringing us closer together and really creating that conversation that we need to have as an organization. And so finally, my fun movie is a movie not for the kiddos, not for the faint of heart, is Kick-Ass. And so Kick-Ass is something I really enjoy watching, and it's the story of this kid who decides he wants to be a superhero, and he dresses up. So just because he dresses up as a superhero, he goes out and goes through some hard knocks and finds out the hard way that it isn't as easy as he thought. But he's kind of an idealist, and so he wants to make a change in the world. And in the end of the movie, he grows and he changes, and he does. He has that impact. So I highly recommend the movie Kick-Ass for anybody that wants to see it. Again, keep the kiddos away. Not for the faint of heart.
Both of them are good.
Yeah. Oh, Kick-Ass too, right? So, Chief, do you have anything you wanted to recommend? Not to put you on the spot. This is, like I said, this is freeform. We haven't even rehearsed this, which is the whole point of it. So You have any thoughts or anything putting you on the spot?
No, all good ones. Sir. Rudy is
Awesome.
always a classic one for me, right? Like you talk about as far as movie or the
Yeah.
power of somebody, but I think the theme of all this, sir, and you talk about it, is the power of the individual, and particularly people. I've heard airmen say sometimes that, hey, I'm just an airman, but I've seen so many times in my career where someone who will just take a stand to do what's right.
Yeah.
It resonates with people more than they may recognize, and I just want to continue to let you know out there that you can just be who you are and move toward what you feel is right in your heart and take a stand, and we'll have your back.
Awesome. All right, so that's going to conclude our Freeform Friday. Chief and I are getting ready to go out and have some fun with you all. We're going to get out and recognize some folks for some great efforts. We're going to have some conversations. We'll talk about a little bit of this. But again, I hope this is something that you value. I hope this is seeing us as real as we can possibly be, keeping it real. We're trying to keep it real. So if you'd give us your feedback in the comments section, we would really greatly appreciate it. Tell us where we hit, tell us where we missed. We know we're going to do that from time to time. And tell us what you want to hear us talk about, because we want to talk about the things that you want us to talk about. So we look forward to doing this as often as we possibly can. We're going to try and keep a weekly battle rhythm as much as we can. So I personally have had fun with this. I'm not always the most comfortable person keeping it real in front of the camera, but when I can just be myself with the Chief, just like we would be on a Friday afternoon over a cold beer, I really value that. So hope you all have a great Friday, have a great weekend. Warhawks train to win, always. Thanks, everybody.